All right, let's go ahead and kick this off. Welcome to Secret Spaces, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is a weekly Twitter space featuring secret network information, alpha, news, contributors, all of that good stuff. And we do this every Tuesday. This week we have a very special guest with us. We have Alex Zaidelson, new CEO of Secret Labs. You've probably heard the news at some point in the past couple of weeks. Very exciting. We're just going to do a casual interview conversation with him, learn about his past and what he's all about. So let's go ahead and get started. Alex, you want to just give us a very brief introduction,
Hey,
and
hey,
then we'll go into some more questions.
sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, great, great. So hey everyone, I'm really excited to be here and a little bit nervous to meet the crowd. So yeah, so let's get it started. So I joined Secret less than a month ago. Still learning a lot, meeting people in the community, trying to get. To get to know the technology, the space. So some stuff I already knew before, learning the new ecosystem. So super exciting, and let's start. Let's go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess let's just start with your past experience in Web3. Um, we know that you have been involved with several projects before this, so just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah,
How
sure.
did you get started in Web3?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Web3 or the blockchain space relatively late. Like fortunately, I cannot say I mined Bitcoin in 2008. It was about 2017, I guess, when I bought my first Bitcoin and started playing with smart contracts a little bit. Before that, I was working in different startups as a founder, a product guy. Maybe one startup worth mentioning it was called Narius. I was doing it with two of my friends in 2005, and it was all about monitoring the peer-to-peer file sharing networks. And I think it's worth mentioning because those peer-to-peer file sharing networks were like in a way precursors of blockchain technologies because they were also decentralized, permissionless, and a lot of tech like Merkle trees was already in use there. So my first job, so to say, in Web3 was as CEO of Beam. Okay, so Beam is a layer one privacy coin built on a protocol with a funny name, Mimblewimble. Um, this word comes from Harry Potter books, and it's a spell for silence, for secrecy. So the idea behind Beam was actually to implement this protocol, which was, by the way, invented by some anonymous person in a very Satoshi-like way, and that's what we did. We actually implemented the protocol, did a lot of work, a lot of technology. The project is up and running right now. They're adding smart contract functionality and a lot of other stuff. And it was a huge, hell of a ride for me. It was amazing, learning this whole new technology and uh, getting and internalizing this ethos of blockchain in general and of privacy in particular. One of my goals, which were not 100% completed with Beam, was to create something that would be both very private but also allow optional compliance. And that was kind of one of the main tickets back then because we were hoping that Beam would replace money, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Uh, and to replace money, really, you need both privacy and compliance. So that was my first project there. Then my most recent project where I'm still helping out and advising is called VirtuSwap, and VirtuSwap is a very cool decentralized exchange technology, a DEX technology invented by two university professors, finance professors from Boston and Cornell, who happen to be my friends as well. So I was helping them out in building the strategy and more specifically doing the stuff related to data and analytics. So my official title was head of business and data. We've built some very interesting idea around optimizing liquidity and how to use AI to optimize liquidity in our DEX. And also during that past couple of years, I did a lot of research in the DeFi space, specifically around MEVs, different DEXs, how different algorithms behave, and I really became fascinated with the space. Actually, I think today DeFi, specifically DEXs and lending, are probably the only large use case for smart contracts. And it's amazing how this technology works now. Uniswap has more volume than Coinbase today, right? And it's just a bunch of smart contracts. And Coinbase has like 3,000 or more people. So in at VirtualSwap, I learned a lot about that and became an expert of sorts in everything DeFi. So and then this work with Secret and work at Secret for me was like a combination of those two things, which I really learned to love, which is blockchain privacy and decentralized distributed computations, like smart contracts that are confidential. That's pretty amazing, and I think the sky's the limit here. And Secret is positioned as one of the oldest confidential smart contract chains, if not the oldest one, I guess, to succeed in this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, in some other stuff that I was interested in professionally during the past several years was NFTs, asset fractionalization, stuff like that. So I consulted several projects in those areas. So so overall, this is the story, right? So main projects were a layer one chain and a DEX, and here I am now working at Secret Labs and running Secret Labs and spearheading the development in the future.
So that's pretty cool. Your very first venture into Web3 was actually a privacy project. Was that by choice, or do you think you just happened to be in the right place at the right time, or has privacy always been something that you were interested in?
Yeah, privacy was always something privacy, human rights, freedoms is something I was always interested in. I also happened to be in the right time, the right place, right? But yeah, absolutely. This is very dear to my heart, and the way how we see governments and frankly anybody is snooping into our privacy in so many ways, it's just not right. And the blockchain is on blockchain, this problem is even more visible and more clear. So it's something that is important to me, and it's important to make the world a better place in this respect as well, by letting people protect their data and not being just an open book for anyone and everyone.
For sure. Well, that's a good segue then. So, we talked about your past experience. Let's talk a little bit more about why you think privacy is important in Web3.
Sure. So well, when Web3 or blockchain started, right, this whole, it was based on the cypherpunk philosophy, which took privacy and sovereignty in in a wider place as a guiding principle. And Satoshi in the Bitcoin in the original white paper, Satoshi wrote that there will be privacy, that privacy will be implemented by keeping the addresses anonymous, right? It says there right there in the beginning of this white paper, and it turned out to be very very naive, right? So today we know that uh, anything and everything is de-anonymized. There are companies like Chainalysis and a ton of others. And in one space, there is also this recent startup called Arkham Intelligence that is literally paying people to dox blockchain addresses. So so today there's very very little privacy on the blockchain, and it is indeed a basic human right. Like when I explain it to people, I first like explain about the blockchain, how everything can be seen there. Whatever you're doing on an EVM blockchain or in Bitcoin, it's all visible. And then I ask people, okay, how about it was your credit card bill, your credit card statement, or your bank account details? Like, how would you feel if it were all published on the blockchain? Sorry, on the internet, just for everyone to see. And of course, it's a terrible idea for people. And still, on the blockchain, it exists. So uh, I think privacy is actually one, or absence thereof, is one of the blockers, one of the things hurting adoption today. So that's why I think it's super important. In addition to that, I would say that as I told you before, guys, about Beam, the pirate approach, I don't think it's the right way. I don't think we can, as an industry or as individuals, I don't think we can like totally deny the existence of governments, totally deny the need for being auditable for compliance. So I think the right solution is in a combination of two things. One is privacy, and the second one is optional compliance. Because if we really want large adoption by businesses, we need them to be able to be private, that is, prevent other people or their competitors or anyone else just to see everything in the clear. But also we need to let them report in the way they should report. So this is a combination that I think is super important, that will bring adoption to the next heights. Right. In DeFi especially, right? Today we see huge volumes on DeFi. Uh, Billions of dollars every week are being swapped, lent. There's huge TVL there. Again, it's not as huge now as it used to be on the peak, but it's still very very significant. And I think a lot of DeFi use cases, a lot of DeFi players are not ready, not willing to enter, or are not willing to enter big time because of the need, because of the lack of privacy. And I'm not even talking about MEV, front running, all that stuff, right? Which I studied quite a lot, and it is also quite annoying and costs quite a lot of money to the ecosystem. The fact that anything you do is immediately seen to by all those MEV monsters even before you do it, right? So I even like I published a Twitter thread, a weekly Twitter thread called Tales from the Dark Forest. So really, this MEV ecosystem is a dark forest. Whoever kind of pops their head up is immediately eaten. Any opportunity on Ethereum, any trade that is big enough will be front run and background and sandwiched and you name it. So and those bots are super sophisticated. In a privacy preserving ecosystem, that just wouldn't happen. It would happen in a different way. There would still be arbitrage, but it wouldn't hurt traders, right? And as I said today, DeFi, and I think everyone would agree, DeFi is the biggest application of smart contracts. And some of the future use cases some of the use cases that we would want to happen are prevented. Many kinds of games, private voting, governance, financial applications like dark pools or trading strategies on chain or things like that. They're just not possible today, right? Because of the lack of privacy. So all in all, it seems like right now we are observing like a second birth of privacy narrative on the blockchain, right? The first one I think was back then in 2018, 2017, when Zcash appeared, and then Beam, Green, Secret as well. Like they all appeared around that same period. And back then, a lot of people thought that this would be the killer use case. It didn't happen back then, but it seems like now with the system or the ecosystem getting more mature and many more players and much more money, including institutional money, coming to the system, privacy is becoming more and more important. We're seeing a lot of talk about that. Just recently, Vitalik published an article about private pool, all the tornado cash, which is the bad side of privacy, but still there is a lot of talk about that. More projects are entering the space, so I believe that privacy will be one of the bigger drivers for the next wave and for mass adoption that will come in the coming years.
Yeah, just going back to the MEV thing, I actually just saw a post on Reddit a few days ago about an MEV bot called Jared from Subway. Not sure if you've heard of that.
Oh yeah, well, in what I used to do was like finding the biggest arbitrages on a weekly basis and publishing them on VirtuSwap Twitter. So this person or persons, Jared, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, this Jared alone was responsible for like, I don't remember, 20, 40, 50% of all the MEV profits, okay, on a weekly basis, on a monthly, whatever. It's just amazing. And the number of transactions and sophistication of all kinds of attacks, it's just amazing. So, I mean, whoever that is, I think they're anonymous, but, chapeau, as they say. Amazing technology, amazing people. They're doing amazing job. Yes, they're probably hurting some traders, but they're doing it, in style. And one
Yep.
more comment on that, actually, about MEV. There are some misconceptions. Actually, if you are, as a trader, if you are careful and if you're setting your slippage percentage correctly, then you will not suffer too much from MEV. Okay, because right when you swap 100 or 1 million USDC to USDT, so you on Uniswap you would specify the minimum amount you're willing to get, right? And it is likely that you will get this minimum amount. So it is likely that even if the pool or the trade might give you a little bit more, the MEV bot would eat up this difference. But if you set this correctly, then you will just get what you wanted to get. Right? The problem is, or the biggest losses happen to people who are making mistakes, which applications are actually taking care of today. Right? On Uniswap, there is a default, very small slippage percentage. So if you remove that on purpose, then you might get almost nothing. And it also happens a lot when people are selling huge amounts after some hacks. And I've seen multiple times that hackers are actually selling or fire selling a large amount of coins, and then those MEV arbitrageurs just are just eating everything up. I mean, they are front running and back running, and the losses on those sales may be like 80 to 90%. Yeah, so just to comment, so that MEV, it's important to understand it's not like all terrible, and it's not usually hurting like regular traders or prudent traders that bad.
Yeah, just reading the stats on this post that I saw, it says that this contract, Jared from Subway.eth, is now the largest gas spender on Ethereum with over 37,000 ETH, or about 70 million US dollars spent just in gas fees.
Yeah, yeah,
So if you if they've spent that much in gas, this is just burned. Yeah, just think about how much they've made in
yeah, yeah,
profit
yeah. They're
on top of
making
that.
lots and
It's
lots of
just
money.
massive.
You're right. They're making lots and lots of money. And in general, over 60% of all the trading volume on Ethereum dexes comes from MEV bots. It's an amazing figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Secret, though, there is no MEV and there won't be any MEV because all the transactions are encrypted, right? Or the inputs are encrypted. So an MEV bot will be having a hard time, front running anyone.
Yep.
There's only normal arbitrage, right? When a pool is unbalanced, then somebody could come in and bring it back into balance, but that's fine. That's a good service to the community.
Let's talk a little bit more about the potential future use cases that privacy enables. Some things like what we're focusing on right now is privacy as a service. That's what Secret's been focusing on over the past year, providing private computation to other blockchains such as Ethereum,
Yeah.
unlocking new use cases.
Right. So, as I mentioned before, right, one of the things that are hurting adoption is that you just cannot build some of the things you want to build. You just cannot build that on Ethereum today, or on EVM, or any other non-confidential blockchain, and Secret will allow that both on Secret, which is available right now, and later on outside. Right. So just to name some of the things that we identified, and there will be more things coming in the future, right? So, voting is a classic example, right? Today, any voting on any DAO on EVM blockchains would be in the open, right? Which is not really a great thing, right? It's like radical transparency, maybe nice, but definitely not in all the use cases. Our political voting is, of course, secret, right? Confidential. So with our technology, private voting or confidential voting will be available anywhere. Another use case is sealed bid auctions. Like there are a lot of auctioning techniques where all the bids are confidential, and it has some positive economic effects in certain kinds of auctions. Um, Confidential tokens, right? One of the things we're thinking about is creating a confidential ERC20. Right, so think of an ERC20 where the balances are hidden. It might have some limitations, but it it makes snooping impossible, right? So no one would know how much you're holding, and this can be also done not just in secret, but on other blockchains with our tech. NFTs with confidential or private content, which Secret has already showcased before. Another use case. Another big use case is account abstraction and account abstraction wallets, and specifically the security part there. Uh, I think that in addition to confidentiality, the account abstraction will be another huge driving force for adoption, because today I'm sure everyone here knows that setting up a wallet is kind of a little bit of a pain. When you did it the first time, you were like, "Oh, okay, what do I do with those? Where do I write? Where do I write my seed phrase? Where do I hide it? Like, what do I do? It's scary. What happens if I lose it? Right? And this hurts adoption big time. So." In general, account abstraction wallets where the seed phrases are backed up on secret blockchain. So like you're sure you will not lose them. It's also a big thing. And maybe the last one is this privacy pools idea that Vitalik just aired. This can easily be implemented with our technology much easier than what they suggested. And what's called dark pools, which is a place like a large OTC desk where big players trade between themselves without anyone seeing. That's also something that happens in traditional finance and can be implemented with our technology as well.
Awesome. So we've been talking a little bit, at least we haven't really been making any public announcements about this, but if you're part of the secret community, you've probably heard rumblings about a new Secret Labs roadmap coming out soon. And I wanted to touch on that just a little bit. We don't have to go into
Yeah,
detail. Obviously, we don't have to mention any concrete timelines or anything. We're just keeping it light today, but figured we'd bring it up and just give people something
sure.
to look forward to in the near future.
Sure. So I think the big things were already kind of talked about and announced a little bit. The fact that we are going outside the secret blockchain and outside the Cosmos ecosystem, that we're going out to Ethereum. That's actually one of the biggest points in the roadmap, right? Because today we see that most of the users, most of the TVL is on Ethereum. We want to get there. Okay, we actually want to do two parallel motions. Okay, and this will be reflected in the roadmap. So the first one is secret on EVM. Okay, and that means APIs, SDKs for specific use cases that will be available to Solidity developers. Okay, that's one big motion. Okay, and we've already started working on that. The upcoming 1.11 upgrade will make it much simpler to use XLR GMP, and on top of that, we will build toolkits that will allow people get privacy on EVM without getting into details, without the need to develop things in Rust, without the need to learn new languages. They'll just talk to a smart contract and get either their verified random number or their encrypted key value store or some basic set operations like calculating averages on encrypted data, stuff like that. Right. So this is one big motion. Another big motion is the opposite direction, okay, and it's about bringing EVM experience to secret, and this has already started, right? So this bridge migration is kind of a step in that direction, right? Just making the bridging of assets easier to use. This is one thing that is actually about to be finished very soon. Another one is MetaMask integration, and Shade has already done some very beautiful work there in their applications, but we want to spend resources on making it better and eventually making it possible to just use MetaMask seamlessly in secret. Okay, so this is one. This is one of the goals. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see to do some research. Now, the that's what's facing the users. For developers, we also want to see how we can bring EVM developers onto Secret, and there are some ideas there. Okay, so this is also a big part of our roadmap, how we make it possible to run EVM code on Secret and getting confidentiality. Right, so as I just want to come back to the two directions. One is we bring privacy to the EVM ecosystem, and the second one is we bring the EVM ecosystem to privacy, right? And each one of those directions will have its advantages. Of course, native implementation of privacy will work better. So things happening right on secret will work better. The experience will be better. But on the other hand, there's much more crowd, much more people, much more TVL on EVM, on different flavors of EVM chains. So we eventually want to be everywhere, right? Now the third motion is we've announced this constellation idea, and we will be working on that. And that means a collection of different privacy technologies together, so that and the end game is actually like becoming the HTTPS for Web3. Okay, becoming the privacy hub where the users or the developers who are using our privacy as a service will be able to act according to different kinds of trade-offs, right? You need stronger privacy guarantees, but slower, more expensive, or you want something fast for gaming and something transient. So this is the constellation idea, a combination of different technologies, right? This is still in the works, so probably even when we publish the roadmap, this part will not be fully worked out because it also requires additional partners, right? So these are the new things that we'll be promoting and developing. In addition, there is of course a busy infrastructure roadmap. There is a lot of stuff to work on. I think most of this has been already published before. And I see it as part of it as like infrastructure stuff that we know we need to do to improve and make things better. And we will also hopefully have the ability to invest time in research and improve scalability, improve privacy in some ways. So that's what we're working on. That's a sneak peek
Exciting
into the
stuff.
roadmap. Yeah.
That was a nice peek. I'm looking forward to seeing the full thing. I'm sure everybody here is.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go ahead and put out an invitation to anybody in the audience, if anybody has a question for Alex regarding anything that we've talked about so far, just his past experience in Web3, upcoming roadmap, any of that stuff. Not can't guarantee he'll be able to answer every question about the roadmap, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you up on stage. Also pinned the tweet about the Shade announcement. If anybody wants to check that out about the MetaMask integration, awesome stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Um, so basically, the two motions, bringing secret and privacy to Ethereum and bringing Ethereum users to secret, I think it can be summarized as just bridging the gap between the ecosystems, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's bridging the gap and allowing freedom. So, and the time will tell, right? It may be that one of those directions will be more successful than the other, and we'll need to move in iterations to see
Yep.
how the market reacts. Yeah.
The way I like to describe it is we would like for both developers and users to be able to make use of secret without even realizing
Yeah.
that they're making use of secret. I think that's success. Whenever an Ethereum user or developer can make use of secret's privacy without even realizing that they're not using just Ethereum,
Yeah.
that would be great.
I agree with that approach. Yeah, I agree with that approach. Um,
So in addition to the roadmap, so that's something that everybody can keep an eye out for. I would say within, I don't know, just keep an eye out for it coming soon. We won't put a timeline on that unless you want to, Alex.
Sorry, say it again. I missed. What was that?
I was saying people can keep an eye out for this upcoming roadmap. I guess we won't put a timeline on it right now, but coming soon.
Yeah, that's coming soon. Trademark. Yeah. So we're working on this roadmap as we speak right now. So it will take 2-3 weeks, and we'll be publishing a roadmap. But I want to say up front that roadmaps in anywhere, frankly, but especially in our environment, they're always living things, right? So it's not like we'll publish a roadmap and then we'll follow it for 2 years exactly as it is, because things change. So I think once we publish the first one, we'll do roadmap updates every now and then, and maybe every couple of quarters, to see how it progress, because things change and the markets change, and I intend to be flexible and update our priorities according to what's going on outside.
For sure, yeah. Well, one thing that everybody can look forward to with a specific timeline is our next mainnet upgrade, which is currently scheduled for September 26th. And that's going to be huge on its own because that includes IPC hooks, which enables Axelar GMP, which is a huge part of our privacy as a service initiative. So
Yeah,
very exciting stuff, just a couple weeks away.
yeah, definitely that paves the way. That really allows creating of those smart contracts on outside platforms that would seamlessly provide privacy without the user or the developer even knowing much about Secret or any need to interact with Secret. So I think that's a huge deal, and we'll need to build on top of that, as I mentioned, build those toolkits, SDKs, APIs for people to use in their applications.
So I don't see anybody raising their hand. I do see a couple of questions in the comments. I'll go ahead and read those out. One is, any marketing plans on the upcoming roadmap? I would say yes, there will be a fully fledged marketing plan around this secret Ethereum initiative specifically. That'll probably be coming out about the same time as the roadmap itself. And another one is, will these EVM and secret toolkits and SDKs be open sourced? I wish to help out on these. You'd like to contribute to them. I don't know if it's too early to say on that, Alex. Do you think this will be something that the community can contribute to?
Absolutely. We will. I'm sure the SDKs will be open source. Frankly, I don't see much of a way not to make them open source, because on EVM, that's like, who would trust your code if it's not really open? And absolutely, we will welcome the community to participate, and to build things, to build both the SDK themselves, but also to build applications, because we want to create as many use cases as possible. Because I talked about several use cases, right? But I'm sure there are others which we haven't even thought about, and we really want the community to participate and to build on top. Yeah.
I think we do have one person on stage now, Secret Santa. This is a validator on Secret Network. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, thanks, Alex, for coming on. I just had a quick question on the use case for account abstraction. Is this just for secret wallets, or is this for Ethereum wallets as well? Would they be able to use the technology to back up their seed phrases on Secret Network?
So my vision is the latter. Yeah, of course, that's the goal, to have a wallet on Ethereum, a system where an Ethereum wallet seamlessly connects to the secret blockchain and uses it as a backup, or uses it for storing the seed phrase. It's actually in the spirit of the Unstoppable Wallets, right? Paper that Guy Ziskin published. So this is something where we will want to invest, because again, I think account abstraction is a huge thing, and decentralized storing of the seed phrase is something that people will be looking for and will be looking at.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
And I'll say about that, there are actually a couple of projects early stage that are already working on that we haven't put a whole lot of spotlight on yet, just because they're so early stage. But keep an eye out in the near future for that, because there's a couple of projects already working on that.
Yeah, that's right. And we're talking to them, and yeah. So, by the way, this roadmap will include partners who will be using the technology and hopefully even building part of it. So, we're working on that as well, together with the foundation. And myself, I'm also trying to be active in business development, and I will be helping out there.
Thanks for your question, Secret Santa. If anybody else in the audience has a question, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you up on stage. In the meantime, is there anything that we didn't already cover that you'd like to talk about, Alex?
Well, I think for this intro call, that was great. Again, I want to stress that we are going to EVM. We're going to EVM, and I think they will be awesome. Now, maybe one more comment here. We might, if we have the resources, we might also consider going to Solana. I don't know yet. I haven't tested the waters really, but as I see it, there are like three major ecosystems, right? EVM, Solana, and Cosmos in whatever order. And we are already on Cosmos. Next thing is EVM, but later on we might also provide this privacy as a service to the Solana ecosystem. So it's one more direction that we're thinking about.
Nice, that's some good alpha right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did have one more person come on stage. It's escave.eth. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, just a small quick question. When you say there's like an integration of EVMs and you talk about being from like a Cosmos-based chain, so it's like quite 2 or 3 months back, Evmos, another Cosmos-based chain, had this idea of pre-compiles while working with IBC, and they were thinking of something of a multi-chain instead of a cross-chain ecosystem. Is Secret going to like move forward with something like that, or the EVM integrations are something of a cross-chain system?
So I hope I hope I can give you a good answer, because there are some technical things that I'm not 100% familiar with. But one direction is to be able to actually run EVM code on secret network or a sister chain as part of the constellation, right? So that means that motion is about making it possible to run confidential Solidity contracts on our ecosystem, on secret ecosystem, which is the Cosmos ecosystem. Okay, so that's what I was referring to. I'm not 100% sure about the precompile. Need to learn about that. But the technical team that we have, I mean, they are super proficient, and they have some ideas actually of how to do things better than what Evmos did. Yeah, so it's about making it possible to run Solidity on Secret or a sister chain on Cosmos. Does it make sense?
Yeah, totally. Also, thank you for the answer.
Sure.
All right, well, if there's no other questions, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Alex, oh, there's one more question. All right. Kyflex, you're on stage. Go ahead with your question. Not sure if you're talking, but we can't hear you yet, Kyflex.
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Great. Hey.
So my question is, how does Secret hold up in terms of scalability against some of the well-known blockchains, say Ethereum and a Solana, in terms of throughput?
So, great question. Great question. I think today we are supporting officially around 25 TPS, if I'm not mistaken, which is fairly good for right now. And I think it's faster than Ethereum, but it might not be enough for the future. So we have some ideas on improving performance. Actually, the infrastructure roadmap is divided into those three blockchain trilemma items: security, scalability, which is performance, and decentralization. So in scalability, we have some ideas on upgrading our WASM engine. We'll be sharing more details. Some of that is still some of the ways that we're thinking about are to be researched, but we will be spending time on that. We intend to spend time on improving the scalability, hopefully, making it tenfold. And also, the idea of the constellation will allow us to have sister chains that may be faster, and then can be, in Cosmos, it's kind of a built-in thing. So some of the apps may just build their own chains that are using some of our technology, and making things much faster.
Okay, thank you so much. And the second question that I have is, so if you're the new CEO of the Secret Labs, then what role is Guy Ziskin going to be playing going forward?
So Guy will be focusing on the research. That's what he's doing. He's starting a PhD. He will continue doing research in cryptography. I haven't asked him what exactly will his thesis be, but I guess something in this area. And Guy is, of course, as the founder, he will be advising and helping out, and he's not leaving the project. He's just he's just taking a step aside, so to say. I'll be doing the day-to-day and the running and the strategy, but he's there. He's there, and he's super helpful. I have I'm talking to him a lot, and we'll be talking more because he is he has a lot of insight on, of course, on Secret Network, and also on the ecosystem in general.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And my last question would be: is there any plans to get Secret listed on, say, Coinbase at some point?
Frankly, no, not at the moment. We haven't discussed that. Do you think it would help?
I mean, I think so. I mean, Coinbase is very easily accessible, at least in the U.S. Market. So
Right.
I think that would be incredibly ideal in pushing Secret to the U.S. Users.
So, as I said, right now we haven't discussed that because frankly, my impression is that having, I think we're listed on like more than a dozen exchanges, and Binance is among them, and it's by far the biggest. So my assumption until now was that it's kind of enough. But I see your point. Yeah, Coinbase is, and especially with Binance being kind of slowly pushed out of the United States. So yeah, so something to think about. Again, depends on the resources required, and because sometimes it's a very lengthy and expensive process to list on a big exchange.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Sure. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, well, we got 5 minutes to the top of the hour. I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up unless there are any other questions.
Do you mind if I ask?
Oh, okay, yep, one more.
Yeah. So I've been with Secret Network and on the Discord from late December of 2020. I just want to know, how do I contribute more towards the technical side, like helping out, even if it's like just open source code?
Uh, Good question. I still need to learn about that. As philosophically, I would really want people to contribute and to create pull requests. I don't know if is it possible right now? Like, can you take some of our code and create a pull request with a feature, or is it limited in any way? I just didn't get into that level of detail yet.
No, it is possible.
Okay, so yeah, it's a good point. I'll put it down, and it's something that I will discuss with the team on how to better organize that. Because in general, we do, of course, we want the community to contribute, because this is how projects move forward, right? Because we cannot build everything on our own, right? It's not scalable. So yeah, definitely. But I'll need to work on the specifics on how to make it easier. And if you have some ideas, drop me a line in any channel, and we'll see.
Have you been joining our weekly developer calls? That's one thing you can do to just get started at least.
Good point.
That's directed at you. It's scav.eth.
Yeah, I'll surely do that.
Those happen on Mondays at 4 p.m. UTC. So same time as the space started today, but on Mondays on our Discord. So just check that out. And there's definitely some things you can do. You can easily contribute to documentation for sure. And there may be some dApps that are developing that are looking for help as well. They often drop into those calls. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Alex, really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Looking forward to speaking with you more in the future and this roadmap.
Sure.
And just a reminder to everybody, keep an eye out for that network upgrade, September 26th. It's going to be really big. It's going to be enabling some really cool new use cases, specifically with the Ethereum ecosystem. So keep an eye out for that. And until next time, have a good one. We'll be back next week on Tuesday at 4 p.m. UTC for the next edition of Secret Spaces. Have a good week.
Yeah, maybe just one closing sentence. So thank you all. I appreciate the fact that the community is super supportive for me, and I immediately felt at home. And I'm really, really excited about this vision of becoming the HTTPS for Web3, or becoming the privacy hub. I think we have all it takes. We have the longest running blockchain with confidential smart contracts. We have the technology, we have the community, we have the people. So we just need a lot of hard work and maybe some luck to make it happen. And this is what we're gonna work on around the clock in the coming years. So really, really excited to be here, and I'm a huge believer in the future of privacy and of secret.
Well said. Looking forward to the future with you, Alex.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure, really. Thank you.
All right, take it easy, everybody.
Bye. Bye bye.